Let me turn that mic on. Happy Friday. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Doing some tweaking and adjusting. Good feedback coming back from the audience on everything from volume to bass levels to streaming strength. So we are live with Illinois in Focus Daily. TheCenterSquare.com, where you can get the newsletter each and every weekday morning in your inbox. You can also find podcasts, not just of Illinois in Focus, but also podcasts from across the country, and including look at what's going on in the United States. So be sure to check that out as well. Checking into the live chat here on this Friday. Guys, just give me a thumbs up. Yes, Tenebris, I got the landline plugged in. Dial-up, modem, everything. It's good to go, I think. We'll see if it does any drops. But clearly, it's something that was pretty frustrating. But you know, one thing we do, we record locally, so the segments get uploaded uninterrupted. The podcast, as well, is uploaded after the show and available without interruption. So be sure to get that as well. But don't forget, I want you to also share this with your friends. A lot of people are benefiting from a daily program to look at what's going on in Illinois, and there's a lot. We've got several segments today we're going to tackle, including some recent headlines from corruption investigations to the Highland Park shooter getting life in prison, to U.S. Senator Dick Durbin retiring, not seeking another term, and now there's some headlines that Pritskar is going to endorse his lieutenant governor, who announced that she was running yesterday. So we'll tackle that as well. And also the governor here in Illinois going after El Salvador. So something else we'll get to. So that's just some of what we've got going on here. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning here with Illinois in Focus Daily. As a mistrial has been declared by a judge in the case challenging an individual state senator who's looking at corruption charges, you've got another court finding that the Highland Park shooter is going to get life in prison. Just a couple of court headlines for you here this morning. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join us each and every weekday morning. So a federal judge has declared a mistrial in the case against Illinois State Senator Emil Jones III in his corruption trial. Jurors, they failed to reach a verdict on all three counts against the Chicago Democrat. Interesting about Jones, he's the son of the former Senate President Emil Jones. And he's still a senator, obviously, the third, and he ran unopposed, even though he was facing criminal charges of corruption. So the U.S. District Court judge, after a jury went back to deliberate, Thursday, they had some questions come back from the jury, but prosecutors and the defense and the court apparently looking at a mistrial now. So we'll see what happens there. Governor J.B. Pritskar was asked about ethics reforms earlier this week at a stop in Jacksonville, and he said that he's been very vocal about pushing for ethics reforms. Here's the governor in Jacksonville.
Happy to do it right here. I have for quite a long time pushed for ethics reforms. Some of it, as you know, takes a few years to get done. We've gotten a lot done. I continue to advocate. sometimes the legislature doesn't move as fast as I'd like them to.
So he kind of puts it on the legislature to act faster on ethics reforms. And he also said that, and this is something we hear a lot, there's already laws in place that are holding people accountable. Like, for instance, Emil Jones III getting charged with corruption for questionable dealings with red light camera companies, right? So will we see more red light camera regulations when it comes to political contributions and such? I don't know. Not yet to May 31st deadline for them to pass measures, so we'll see. But you've got, even the Mike Madigan case. After he served in the legislature for 50 years, served as Speaker of the House for from 1983 till, except for 2 years, until 2021. So longest serving state house speaker. He was found guilty on several charges. But this Emil Jones case, interesting because, well, the jury apparently was deadlocked on some of the counts when it comes to what prosecutors presented. They alleged that Jones lied to federal investigators along with other charges of corruption. So what happens next with the ethics reforms? We'll be watching that closely. Something else out of the courts yesterday. Robert Crimo III, who was charged in the fatal shooting of 7 people, wounding dozens for the Independence Day holiday up in Highland Park in 2022. Well, he's been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, he changed his plea right before they were going to trial. Apparently, there was some police interrogation video where he admitted it, but later pleaded not guilty. And then when that evidence was going to be included in the trial, he flipped his not guilty plea to guilty. So he's going to be serving life in prison. Now, in 2023 of January, you had the Illinois General Assembly pass the ban on semi-automatic firearms, similar to what Crimo used in that attack. And that was the Highland Park incident was used as an impetus to push that in January 2023. That law is still being challenged in federal court. We'll see where that goes. Obviously, you've got some movement in the appeals court. The latest in that consolidated case out of the Southern District with the gun ban. You've got the state having to respond to the Southern District judge saying the law is unconstitutional. And that's coming up May 7th. We should get that filing from the state. And then the cases of those challenging the law, they've got until June 6th to reply to the state. So we'll be watching those carefully. But there's still concern of how to keep certain places safe, and particularly like what some would consider soft targets. If you go to thecentersquare.com, you'll be able to see this story where legislation would mandate public schools be equipped with silent alarms so that police can respond faster. You have several individuals here, State Representative Will Davis talking, but also Janet Yang Rohr at a news conference earlier this week, and they talked about the importance of keeping kids safe in schools with ensuring law enforcement get there in a timely fashion.
Alyssa's Law, introduced by my colleagues and I, is a necessary life-saving measure. It ensures that schools have mobile panic alert systems, allowing staff to instantly notify law enforcement when every second counts. The reality of the day for parents is that even as we send our children to school every single day, there are moments when we have to confront the reality and think the unthinkable, asking ourselves if, and hoping that that our children will come home from school safe.
What we're talking about today does cost money, but at the end of the day, I think all of us as parents are all about student safety and the fact that we should be doing everything possible to make sure that our children are safe.
So that measure is advancing, or at least they're promoting it. We'll see if that goes in. But just a couple of headlines and some of the things around the headlines for you this morning on a Friday with Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning for the live show where you can join the live chat. Pretty active bunch in there each and every weekday morning. But don't forget, get the podcast where you get podcasts and sign up for the newsletter at thecentersquare.com. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritskar going after El Salvador because he says they're helping the Trump administration curtail due process in the United States. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, get the headlines in your inbox, and go to thecentersquare.com for that newsletter. Let's check out a news release from Governor J.B. Pritzker's office. Pritzker announces measures in response to Trump administration's constitutional abuses. State of Illinois to take measures against...
You have to,
There we go. We'll take measures against El Salvador. Sorry to deafen you guys. For aiding Trump's unconstitutional deportation scheme. So going through this a bit, you see, the various things the governor's wanting to do. In this news release, he talks about investments, and in particular, for instance, like pension investments. He wants to evaluate if Illinois pension funds benefit El Salvador. He wants to stop procurements from El Salvador, and he wants to analyze trade with El Salvador. The governor saying in that statement that the United States Constitution guarantees due process. We are witnessing Donald Trump erode our fundamental constitutional rights in real time, and we must fight to restore the balance of power. The state of Illinois will stand up for the rule of law and do everything in our power to stop the Trump administration from ripping apart our most basic rights. My colleague Jim Talamonte, he connected with several people on this, including Aaron Delmar, who's now the Cook County Republican chairman. And he also talked with a former teacher who taught at the El Salvadorian consulate, I believe. Let me see if I can find this story for you. And go to thecentersquare.com. You'll be able to see this. Delmar, Pritzker plays national politics with El Salvador while neglecting Illinois. But here is Martin Dannenberg, formerly taught at the El Salvadorian consulate in Chicago. And he had this to say about, the governor's actions. He supports it.
you have to, applaud the governor for bringing this up and putting it in the face of President Bukele.
He went on to talk about the other issues involving Trump and supporting Pritzker in this move.
But he also locked up innocent people, which is what Stalin did, throughout his career in the Soviet Union. Hitler did it. Trump is on that path right now.
So where do we get some of the response from Republicans? Aaron Delmar, critical of the governor's moves here, saying it's neglecting the state. Here he is talking to Jim Talamonte.
He's trying to play national politics and start talking about issues versus Trump and then El Salvador that really have nothing to do with Illinois.
And continues about the criticism of this move that the governor's taking against El Salvador.
Any sanctions, any issues, any disinvestment that takes place through our pension system or any of our policies that affect their country is going to have a ripple effect across their economy and eventually to each El Salvadoran.
It didn't just have those two conversations going back and forth, one person supporting the other one pushing back, saying it's kind of a flashy object type thing. You have State Representative Stephen Reich yesterday on the House floor, also critical of the governor, maintaining focus on this issue rather than stuff going on at home. Here's Stephen Reich.
Representative Reich, for what reason do you seek recognition?
Point of personal privilege.
Please proceed.
Saw on the news yesterday that the governor has initiated an inquiry as to how much investment the state of Illinois has in El Salvador as a means of pressuring El Salvador to release somebody who was deported down there and is in jail. First of all, it's not the governor's job to engage in foreign policy. Second of all, virtue signaling is something that should wait till he's a little bit closer to running for higher office. I guess that a budget that is not going to be in balance, $140-some billion in pension debt, and a transit agency fiscal cliff is a little bit too much to handle.
Reich obviously critical, saying that it's a little too early for the governor to start virtue signaling. So the criticism's pretty stiff there. But he talked about how there's this issue with the hemp industry in Illinois. You've obviously got, even within the Democratic Party, the majority that control things, there's some differences of opinion. Should we regulate hemp more, go after the stuff like Delta 8 that's getting into convenience stores, while you've got the hemp industry like we are a good steward of economic principles, and we want to be able to have that marketplace without the stiff regulation. It's not, THC-driven cannabis. It's hemp that they're producing. And Reich says instead of the governor going in and talking about El Salvador and trying to butt heads with Donald Trump and El Salvador's president, he really does just need to come back home and work on these issues.
I think instead of swanning around the Sunday morning talk shows, the governor ought to convene the leadership of both the House and the Senate and get this problem fixed. Thank you.
We'll see if the governor speaks more about this. He does have an event today in Chicago, and the press are going to be there to ask him questions. Obviously, I think some may ask about this El Salvador order of sorts from Pritskar, but he'll also, I'm sure, take questions about Illinois U.S. Senator Dick Durbin's Senate seat opening up, which we'll talk about in the next segment. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning. Get the headlines in your inbox with the newsletter from thecentersquare.com. Get the news segments at YouTube with the Center Square, and subscribe, share it up. Get all the segments and more. It's right here with Illinois in Focus Daily, the Center Square, and me, Greg Bishop. Appreciate you hanging out.
There comes a point in your career when the torch is supposed to be passed, and I've reached that point. I will not be seeking re-election to this United States Senate seat.
It's Illinois Senator Dick Durbin saying he's retiring from Congress. So, voters, in November of 2026, you'll be able to select a new U.S. Senator. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning, breaking things down for you. You got the Chicago Tribune actually reporting that Governor J.B. Pritskar is expected to endorse Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. Here's the tweets they have, and that could come today. A move that could serve as a politically powerfully warning to the rest of the emerging field seeking to seek Durbin's seat. So what's going to happen today? We'll be watching, obviously. But over the past couple of days, since Durbin has announced that he's not going to seek re-election in 2026, you have a lot of speculation as to what's going to happen here. Shortly after the announcement came Wednesday, Governor J.B. Pritskar was in Decatur, where he was taking some questions at an unrelated event, and he was asked about, endorsing anybody, and he said he wouldn't endorse anybody right away, maybe sometime soon. Obviously, we've got this Chicago Tribune headline saying it could come as early as today. But here's Pritskar from Wednesday, shortly after, like an hour after Durbin made his announcement.
Again, as no candidates have announced, as far as I know, in the last hour or whatever it's been. And so that's something that I'll decide later. But again, this is a moment for us to just recognize great public service. I think, it's elevating that and reminding our young people that is what public service is, that someone who serves like that. I mean, you've not heard anything about Senator Durbin other than over these many years his dedication to lifting up the state of Illinois.
And he goes on to talk about Durbin's service, but Pritskar again saying, hey, he's not going to endorse anybody at this time. Nobody's announced yet in the hour that Durbin made his announcement, but hours later, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton did make an announcement with a produced video on social media.
My story isn't the story of a typical senator. Then again, typical isn't what we need right now. Join our campaign, and together we can stop Trump and stand up for Illinois.
So the video Stratton put out came out rather quickly. I mean, within 12 hours or so, less than 12 hours. Just trying to do the math here. No, a little over, probably 17 hours or so. Anyways, so Stratton's video comes out pretty quick. Yesterday, Durbin here in Springfield held a news conference in his backyard with the official announcement and taking questions from members of the media. I asked him, I said, what kind of conversations did you have with the Pritskar administration? Because, listen, Juliana Stratton came out with her announcements hours after you made yours.
Well, conversations, I wouldn't call them that. I did have a conversation with Juliana. She told me that she was interested, but she wasn't going to run against me, and others have done the same. And when it came to JB, I gave him a call before I made the announcement yesterday.
So he did talk to them, and he said that other people called him as well and said, hey, I'm looking to run for your seat, but I don't want to run against you in a primary. So the names are going to come out fast and furious. But what kind of qualities are individuals like Durbin looking for when they want to possibly endorse somebody? Which Durbin said he's not going to endorse anybody. We'll see. But here's Durbin talking about the qualities that he says is necessary for somebody to win a Senate seat in a state like Illinois.
I think the person who is successful in running for this office is going to understand they've got to not only represent the entire state, they've got to work the entire state. And we've done that.
It's not just about the working the entire state. If the party that the individual's from doesn't have good polling, then how's that going to impact? As you've seen in some national polling numbers that have come out, the Democrats don't have a lot of favorability. And actually, I've seen headlines where it's the lowest favorability in decades. Well, I asked Senator Durbin about that. What's the cause of Democrats losing favor in national polling?
Let's say as to why you think Democrats have nationally a lower polling than they've had in decades. Why is that the case?
Well, there's a disappointment among some progressives that we lost the last election. But I think they can be brought back into the fold if we aggressively go after this administration and their violations of the Constitution and offer an alternative. In a short period of time, in the first 100 days, Donald Trump's approval ratings have been going downhill. And it just reflects the fact of how radical his ideas are and how unacceptable they are to most families. So, I think we can build this party. I think we can build it back into a majority party. We got to get started with the off-year election.
What do you think are some of the reasons why the polling has come down for Democrats? What are some of those specific things that you see where, that tripped them up?
Well, there's a disappointment that we didn't address the issues, the cost of living issues. But remember this president, remember what he promised about the price of eggs and the price of food people face in the grocery stores? Doesn't talk about it anymore, does he? Because exactly the opposite is occurring. His trade war is going to raise prices on American families at a time when they thought the message of the last election was they had a friend in Donald Trump who would bring down costs for families. That's not a fact. It hasn't happened. And when we make that message clear across the board, I think it'll make a difference.
Now, President Trump's been in office for, 3 months? He's got a 4-year term. We'll see how that pans out. But Durbin not saying that, the influx of non-citizens during Biden's term was what was the reason for people losing trust and faith in the Democrats, with national polling indicating that they're falling out of favor. He didn't say that was the issue. He said it was the lack of addressing the economic issues, which, again, came out of the Biden administration. So I don't know. I guess we'll let the political analysts really delve into all of that. This is going to be an interesting storyline to watch. Again, the governor's got an event today where he could be asked about Juliana Stratton. He could make an official announcement from his campaign endorsing Stratton, but then you've got a whole host of other Democrats that are expected to announce their candidacy. You've got even a list of Republicans that are likely going to have some stiff competition in the primary, which the primary is in March of 2026. The election would be in November of 2026. So put that on your calendar. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning here with the Center Square. Friday. Just want to remind you guys out there on the live show, be sure to check out the weekend edition. Myself and Dan McCaleb discuss a ton of stories from this past week in some more detail, so you can check that out. You'll get that as you subscribe to Illinois in Focus Daily. It's also posted here on YouTube, so be sure to make that part of your weekend listening, as we will come back live on Monday. Just wanted to remind you of that, all right? All right, the controversy around rules allowing transgender athletes to perform in girls' sports continues at the Illinois State House, with the Republicans looking to, as they say, protect girls in girls' sports, and those pushing back saying that it's such a small number of individuals who are trans wanting to play in sports that it shouldn't be this big of an issue. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop on this Friday. Reminder, get the headlines in your inbox where you'll see this story and so many others at thecentersquare.com. So you go there, check out the Illinois page, and click on newsletter, and you'll be able to sign up and get that newsletter in your inbox. Kevin Bessler put this story together. Controversy growing over rule to allow transgender athletes to play in girls' sports. I was able to chat with State Representative Kelly Cassidy briefly yesterday at the State House to get her response as well. But you've got the ongoing debate, especially as the Illinois High School Association recently announced that it would not comply with President Donald Trump's executive order to keep trans athletes out of girls' sports. The board president of the IHSA said that his organization finds itself in an untenable position as it seeks to clarify conflicting directions from state officials and the Trump administration. This has even gotten to the point where, State Representative Blaine Wilhauer is calling for the IHSA to testify in front of a House committee. Whether or not Democrats are going to go along with that, we shall see. You also have Congresswoman Mary Miller. She says that the DOJ and the Department of Education federally have to investigate this as well, as Maine, the state of Maine, faces lawsuits from the Trump administration about funding and whether or not they're going to comply with Trump's orders prohibiting biological males from competing in biological female sports. So the Republicans at the State House have held several news conferences about this. Most recently, they held one yesterday where they highlighted legislation that they say will protect girls in women's sports. And I talked with State Representative Kelly Cassidy, a Democrat from Chicago, to get her thoughts on this. This is a hot-button issue, and I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. Here's what she had to say in response to that.
Ultimately, it's important to remember that we are talking about 3 trans athletes in the state of Illinois. And what's even more important is that those 3 trans athletes are children. They are human children who are being targeted by these grown adults who are obsessed with children's genitals. It's that simple. There are no documented cases of any student ever being harassed by a trans athlete in the locker room. Every school follows Illinois law, makes it possible for folks who are uncomfortable to select another place to change. This is a red herring. They are just obsessed with kids' genitals. Who are they proposing would police the presence of these children? Literally, they are advocating for sexual assault, because that's what it is to inspect a child's genitals.
So Cassidy, ardent supporter of trans children and trans people, has been pushing back against Republicans on this. Now, obviously, Republicans are in the super minority in the House, and Democrats have the super majority. So when Republicans do propose measures like this, they're not likely to advance at the State House. But that didn't keep them from taking a podium yesterday and talking about this. And they had State Representative Regan Deering there from Decatur, a Republican, and State Representative Tom Weber from Fox Lake, a Republican. And they were there with the Wheeler sisters, and in particular, Caitlin Wheeler, a collegiate swimmer whose young sister had an incident at the YMCA last year or the year before, where an individual, an adult person born a man dressing as a woman, was allowed in the female locker room while these high schoolers were preparing for swim practice. And it was traumatizing, and they've shared their story. But Caitlin Wheeler, the older sister, saying that this whole idea of there's only 3 trans athletes in Illinois, well, what number should it be to when you've got the outcomes in some of these cases, not just in Illinois but across the country, problematic for girls?
One girl is one too many. How many does it take to be exploited in locker rooms, violated in locker rooms, have their opportunities taken away in their sports? How many? Give me a number. 3, 10, 100?
What number is it that's going to raise enough concern to have some action as the opponents of trans athletes in girls' sports say that there's a public safety aspect, there's a decency aspect, there's the issue of performing to be able to get the eye of colleges for scholarships and such. So there's a whole host of concerns that they have. Tom Weber, he talked about his legislation to require that it's clearly labeled that there's men's sports, girls' sports, and co-ed sports. So will that measure advance? Not likely. But he talked about, again, how this, the idea of, well, there's only 3 athletes in the state of Illinois that identify as trans.
There's going to be a lot of lawsuits over the next couple of years regarding those issues and others. And when you say the locker, sports, maybe there's 3 athletes that people know of in the state of Illinois. I've had numerous reports in regards to bathrooms and locker rooms, because those aren't the ones that are reported. Until a parent gets so frustrated, so scared, that they risk losing all their friends, risk the hatred, to come forward and speak out. That's the only time we hear about it. It's not a one-off.
It's not, and we'll hear more of this. Obviously, it's an issue that's got national attention as states like Illinois continue forward with allowing trans athletes in girls' sports and spaces against the Trump administration's executive order. Now, executive orders, what are they? They are just merely statements that the executive's putting out, but it does indicate a clear agenda that he's looking for Congress to do. So what's going to happen over the next 3.5 years? We'll be watching. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. And another thing we're going to have to be watching, of course, is the financial impact, right? Because if the U.S. Department of Education starts rattling down and another agency gets the money, responsibility to send to states, are they going to say, you're not complying with federal law on trans sports? We're not going to give you any money for your schools. Is that going to happen? We got a month here before the end of the May, and how the budget's going to be impacted. There's going to be a lot of things to drop between now and then, so we'll be watching. That's why you need to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell and wake up with us here each and every weekday morning with Illinois in Focus Daily on YouTube with the Center Square. Happy Friday. I think we figured it out. The direct line in may be just what does it. And again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and the different ideas and how to get it all right. Thumbs up if we went through the stream without any drops or blips or max headroom, as some of you said. So give me that thumbs up, all right? And also, get that newsletter. Get the headlines. Get the podcast. Share it with your friends, your family. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday with more live Illinois in Focus Daily.